What's the hardest part of doing a podcast? Timing, especially when you are. Oh, getting back on here. There he is. When you got this little guy. Oh, man. Such a blessing. But apparently, he woke up a little early. He slept through the night very well, and apparently he had a really early morning wake up, and so me being on daddy duty had an earlier first nap time. So I might be testing the limits here, trying to switch up the Monday method to the madness time to this 10 a.m. morning show. I'm going to try to do a morning show. I'd prefer this time versus 1:30. Again, all the viewers right now are pretty much speaking the volumes to the time shift here. We got 0 viewers, but just started. So we will see how this goes within the next 30 minutes. If we get any live viewers. And if you're just tuning in, go ahead, pop yourself into the chat, say hi, say what's up. And we're going to make this happen. And if he does wake up, we'll just do a commercial break. And I might even bring him onto the show. So getting towards the tail end of Jack's sleepy time. Okie dokie. I feel like I have a handful of things to talk about when it comes to the MFP program. Past week was definitely a handful of things that we were able to introduce and explore when it came to developing some new skills, trying to teach you guys how to really work with intensity, work with the challenge of moving quickly, transitioning quickly, not just doing it without intention, right? There's ways we structure these workouts throughout the program that are going to allow you to develop that skill, because intensity is not necessarily an easy thing to develop, especially when we have to develop the volume of the reps, develop the efficiency of the movement, the standards of the movement. So I'll go into all that today. So yeah, definitely want to break down last week, and definitely the beginning of this week. Today's workout was a good reminder of like what that's supposed to be like when we develop transitions, intensity, efficiency, speed. Let's get into our digest here. We'll shoot the shit a little bit. Just kind of remind you guys what's going on here at CrossFit MFP with our weekly newsletter. So just recapping this weekend. This went a lot better than expected, I think, and I'm very happy that I stuck to my guns with this, with making a friend a mandatory part of the experience. Like, you have to reserve a friend and bring a friend to be able to participate in the workout. And in the past, I've just kind of had it as like, no, everybody can come, and if you bring a friend, great, that's a little extra. But there's something about the accountability to, having that incentive to bring a friend to actually participate. And we ended up having 6 new people having a new experience at MFP, which is great. And I think just for like one class, with the amount of people we had, that was really, this was like the perfect amount of people, because I was really able to give more direct feedback and kind of hold everybody's hands, especially the newbies as well, through that workout. And the workout, which I'll review a little bit later on, was just a great way to get the experience as a newbie, to see somebody who's been doing CrossFit for an extended period of time and see how they've progressed. And as a newbie, you got to work on your scalings and your progressions. You're going to watch them go, and you're going to realize, I'm not going to be able to have those progressions. But if I have consistency, if I commit, and if I really give this CrossFit thing a shot, I can really reach some new heights and explore my potential with, this program and how it goes. So we had a really good group. So thanks to, we got Addie, Bach. Addie brought her daughter, Julia. Bach brought some beasts here. We got Ashley and Dalia, 2 young guns, which was really cool, because, our community is pretty much it's a diverse range, just like any CrossFit gym, but we definitely have a homegrown community, more within the age range of like 30 to 50 years old. So having some athletes in their 20s has been really cool because like they just brought that fire, that young intensity where, it's like an I go, you go workout. You're watching your buddy go. You're trying to push them. Jen brought her sister. I call her A. I called her Aaliyah, and I actually, she didn't reserve, so I didn't have her name there. But she was great. She was definitely hesitant. She's one of those individuals who like, the doctor told me not to do this. I have my shoulder or this back. I have herniated disc, and all those excuses why you might not want to try CrossFit. But we kind of broke that stigma there, and she had a great experience. And Arnaldo had 2 referrals. One is, where is he at? Mike here in the back. He's hiding. He actually did a few trial classes this week. And another guy, Paul. Both are great referrals. One is just like completely new, that experience where like you haven't done anything in your life and you do CrossFit and you realize, wow, like this is either going to be the hardest experience of my life or the most rewarding experience of my life. So, and then Paul was great. He kind of has done CrossFit before in the past, but not in a group setting. And then Mike brought Tyler Wagner, and Tyler's a real estate agent local to Havertown. He's actually stepped foot in CrossFit MFP before and has done some trials with us, and so it was great to have him back. And definitely looking forward to seeing all these people continue. Oh, and Laurie was great, Tara's neighbor, and she was great too. Again, one of those people is like very hesitant to try CrossFit. I used to be able to do this XYZ years ago. And those are actually the people we prefer because we want you fresh. I don't want you to have any other CrossFit or whatever gym experience prior to coming to us. I want you fresh, and I want you open-minded to like learning how to move with a high standard, learning how to develop your fitness with a high standard. So again, great group. Really excited to see them come back. Some things I was talking about during the session, so after we worked out, brought everybody together and pretty much just went over some basics of the methodology. If you see there on the whiteboard there, just talked about the CrossFit pyramid, the 10 components of fitness that we develop, and one of these models called the Hopper model, which really is part of what we do in CrossFit, right? It's about this unknown and unknowable aspect of applying your fitness that we do, because what we do at CrossFit, it's varied. It's not random. People might think, oh, we do these random workouts. And obviously, if you've been a member at MFP, you know that there's variance, but in a very structured way to develop you to progress. And so what this Hopper model basically says is we specialize in not specializing. So because we have this structured, varied program, whatever your physical task that is put at your hand, you can go into that in a way where you're more confident to explore that. And if that's something we do at MFP, whether if that's you going out on the Delco 10 miler run, going to play sports with your kids, your friends, we want you to be able to have that capacity to do that. And definitely check out last week's podcast. You'll see Coach Joe ripping a few cigs. Also, talking about cigs, let's just clear this in the air here, okay? We have a new special. She's not a member yet, but I'm gonna just hope for you guys to recruit this member. We have a new crackhead of Haverford Road. We haven't had a crackhead in a while here on Haverford Road. At least that's been consistent. I met her last week during a 6:15 a.m. class, and she just kind of walked in the gym thinking that she was going to use the bathroom. I said, "Hold up, lady. She's got this fiery red hair all over the place. She's always prancing around Haverford Road on these high heels. Like, got to at least be 6 to 8 inches of heel. And she lets her toes hang out, and like her toes each toe is in a different direction. Like, just imagine, like, how do your toe, like, and you guys know I'm a toe foot person when it comes to foot health, stability, foot strengthening, and like, how do your toes even get into these directions is the greater question. I just was like mind blown, on top of the fact that I could smell alcohol on her breath at 6:15 a.m., probably on some other things. I said, hell no. The only person that's smoking cigs in my bathroom is Coach Joe here, as you guys can see. So I respectfully told her that the bathroom was not open. With that said, I don't know. I don't know if she's worth saving. I don't know if I mean, I could try to save her. I could try to get her into the gym. Um, I think I don't even know if she could honestly get up and off the ground. I mean, but honestly, she definitely gets a handful of zone one training, which is just basically steady walking. And the fact that she even gets to the beer store at 10 o'clock in the morning to get a 40, and just slug a 40 down, smoke a cig while on Haverford Road is mind blowing to me. Like at her pace, I was just thinking, like, how long does it even take her to get that hair ready, get that outfit on her? She wears these. She's definitely got some hip outfits, and how does she get those shoes on her? Like, how does all that? Like, that has to take at least 2 hours of her time to get ready, and then the sloth around Haverford Road to get a 40. Like, she's got to be up at 4 a.m. To even get ready and get up. So there's a mystery. There's definitely a debacle going on there of like how she even accesses Haverford Road. It has to be some train station crackhead. But I'm thinking of her. So, hey, listen, she's probably actually getting her fix right now. It's 10:08. So, you guys let me know. Do you think the crackhead of Haverford Road is worth saving? I'll let you guys be the in charge of that. Got an upcoming event, Lady Circle here at MFP. Got to get the breath work in. Coach Bach here with her yoga class coming up. So I haven't been able to get any of my Infinity breathwork classes in. So it's cool to see Bach step up. She has her new endeavors with Kundalini Yoga, which is just basically a form of breathwork, a little bit more intense with the breathwork, but you guys will be doing some meditation and all that good jazz. And it's for ladies only. So get that email to Bach, hop on the Facebook group. And again, we talked about routine is the enemy. Your life is boring, and that's why you do CrossFit, to make it fun. 2 live viewers now. Pop in the chat. Who's here? What's your name? Why are you on here so early? What's the vibe? Okay. Shooting the shit a little bit more. Went to a concert this weekend with the wifey. Had a great time. First time we actually went out of the house for a little while Jack is sleeping. So I will say, you can't compare to Harry Styles. Fun fact, I've been to Madison Square Garden twice with my wife, Steph, both to see Harry Styles. One of the times we were in the pit. By far, biased opinion, greatest entertainer when it comes to the music business. Also went to the Eras tour with Taylor Swift. Great entertainer, but man, Harry Styles is just, I hope he comes out with an album soon. But big Mount Joy fans. Haven't listened to them super recently until we decided we were going to go to the concert. And I'd learned a ton. First of all, I was not aware that they were local. At least the lead singer, guitarist, and the 2 guitarists, they're both kind of stogies, which is probably why they got that hippy dippy vibe, which first of all I'm all about. The vibe of Mount Joy as a band, and also the vibe as a collective society in a concert, definitely vibes with my shaman hippy dippy, everybody love everybody vibe. I was completely sober, which is great. I don't need none of that devil's juice with that alcohol. But I definitely, during the experience, I could have definitely been on some psychedelics to enjoy that. And they are definitely a big psychedelic advocacy type of a band and group. So, and it just made it fun because, they're in Philly the whole time. Like, they got the Fanatic on stage. We left a tad early, so I don't think the Fanatic came on for our show. But it was super cool just to find out, they're big Phillies fans. And yeah, they just had some really cool moments. Like, we got to follow Snack Time. This band right here. So first they had a moment where they brought on this I guess, group they collaborate with called Snack Time. I know nothing about them, but they got the tuba. Yeah, the tuba group. Dude, and they rip it apart. They had each of these guys had solos during one of the, I forget, I don't even know what the song they were all playing with, but they had the one guy. This is the guy I could be in the background. So behind the drummer, they had a guy with a tambourine. right? That's all he did. Like, I could be that guy. I could be the tambourine guy. I could crush that. Like, that looked so fun. Uh, so yeah, give Snack Time a shout out. I know nothing about them, but they were ripping it out. One thing I did like about what they did was her name's Jackie right here. I love the diversity in the band because they have a pianist, Jackie, who is a fucking beast on the piano. Like, she had a few solos and she just stole the show. And I do like how they had moments where like they would give each of their band members a nice solo. The guitar, not the guitar, the drummer had a solo towards the end, and he just like, I just thought, man, you got to be pretty good on a CrossFit to be able to rip that up, because his muscular endurance, wrists, shoulders, all that, man, he was ripping that thing up for a while. So gotta love it. Oh, look at that. Boom. So yeah, shout out to Jackie. It's a great experience. Mount Joy. It was at the Man Center, which was a treat. I knew nothing about the Man Center. I thought every time we drive by there going to Philly that it was just a bunch of brothers and sisters just having their barbecues on Saturdays and Sundays driving downtown. But little did I know that there's a dope concert space going up that hill. So definitely looking forward to going back to the Man Center, having some fun, ripping it out. And put up a few posts here on the social media. Make sure you guys keep following us. Shout out to the Delco 10 Miler group here. You got Gigi, Kev, Liam, Chris, Rhonda. Rhonda, good to see you getting back into the flow here. Love it. Ken, Steph, and Doug. So only part is, where the fuck's the MFP gear, right? Chris he's got his MFP shirt on. I dig it. Liam's got maybe one of his Lord of the Rings headbands. Shout out to Liam. You gave me a Lord of the Rings headband. And I can't wait to rock that during some workout. So great job, guys. Proud of you. 10 miles, no easy feat. And just touching on this I had this motivation. One, first of all, I posted this incorrectly with my wording, and so I mess up spelling. I have spelling corrections all the time when I post shit. All good. All right, I'm a fitness professional, not a spelling bee professional here. But persevere, I thought it was persevere, so I had to make this post twice. I wrote persevere through common ground, and I've always talked about this whole concept of CrossFit commonality and why CrossFit is so valuable, because it brings people together, right? It's so unique in the way it's structured with a class experience. We're all having this shared suffering, even though each person in this class may have some different political ideology, some, whatever belief of how they feel and how they react through life differently. But CrossFit is that one thing that you can find common ground. And so going back to the Mount Joy concert, one of my favorite moments was when the lead singer, he just stopped and he just gave like a nice speech about the human experience and how it's so easy to find ways to, become torn apart and ripped apart, and, having this ability to find common ground through an experience like a concert, and having this opportunity to find experience to, come together, was really cool. So that's where I got that motivation from. So shout out singer Mount Joy. And there he is. He's probably going to wake here any minute. So let's talk about the workouts, and then I'll tune out. So again, big theme. I think this past week, so not this week here, this past week with our flow and our workout. So just a few things to remind you guys is, we are transitioning with this concept of intensity in our program. And I think last week was a good statement that we're still learning and developing how to move efficiently when it comes to like transitions, when it comes to scaling your movements, when it comes to the movement quality and efficiency to move with speed. They're all super important. So I think we all had a challenge of that last week, which is good, right? We're going to see this progression so you have these learning experiences to build up. But last Monday, for example, there was a lot of people who maybe struggled to even get to those lateral PVC pipe jumps. And yeah, you see a big volume of toes to bar, right? You see a little bit of a split up, having that sandbag in between. But the idea is to think of this workout as not as a toes to bar skill workout. This is a toes to bar fitness capacity workout. So you got to know your scalings, know your gears, right? Maybe you can do a few RX reps and maybe you got to go right to a scaling because, again, we need to develop speed, capacity, efficiency, not toes to bar RX reps, right? And using the right sandbag, right? That first set of 24 is about going unbroken, so going light enough. So I think that was a good opportunity to get people to realize 4 minutes is not a lot of time. You got to bust ass, you got to get moving, you got to get grooving to be able to get the right stimulus of the workout, which is, again, getting the jumps and getting that little higher heart rate when we get there. And then, because we were hanging, right, understanding we were going into some strict pulling reps, some actual bending of the elbow, so hanging with the toes to bar, bending with the elbow, getting strict and dynamic reps of pulling was important. And if you can see there at the bottom, right, those kneeling jumps into a vertical jump were super valuable in terms of getting you guys out of your comfort zone of learning a new skill. Yes, most of you guys probably felt like a ding-dong, but the idea was to teach you guys something new and to teach you guys, a different progression of jumping and landing. So thought that worked out super well. Hang tight. Okie dokie. Same thing here. It was fun to teach a new skill Tuesday with that cycled power snatch. So something I learned early on, which was a different progression of muscle snatching. So we see that EMOM here, right? So the muscle snatch, when we're doing this, is a hybrid of like a kettlebell swing and a power snatch, right? So there's moments where you're bypassing the hip like we would traditionally do with a regular power snatch, where you might get it to your hip, arm straight, get to the pocket, get full extension. And so learning a little bit different skill to move for speed and efficiency for the metabolic effect with muscle snatching is a unique skill. We'll see that again. The way I was teaching the classes was during that minute 3 of rest, I would give you guys different cues and things to think about, like, for example, getting the hips to extend, keeping the bar close, bypassing the hip on the way down, pulling the bar quickly down to the floor into that tap and go so that you guys can develop that. And just some other things to understand when it comes to like intention and structure and development of these workouts, right? You're potentiated from that first part. So we were learning that low hang, working from the floor, getting a little heavier, getting light so I can move quickly, getting the feet to cycle on that bike. I was saying use more of your legs on the bike versus your shoulders because you're a little bit more fried from doing the muscle snatch. So again, just some really interesting things to develop and how we structure that workout in that program to get you guys to develop, again, our goal right now, which is how to develop intensity. So again, high volume, again, scaling is super important. Go light with the bar, all those important things. And obviously you can see how I'll structure this. The third part of the workout, we already did pulling from the ground. Now we go heavy. Now we dial in the leg drive, the technique, getting the bar all the way into the hip, unlike that muscle snatch. You can see here I made a change. This was the original. So I had like deck squat, jump slam, and we were doing the med ball rotational slam into the toss. I like that drill because it's like a 2-for-1. We kept the box step ups and the offset plank. So it was just one big unilateral workout, which, again, those are always my favorite type of workouts. I found that first part to be really important for Wednesday because Monday and Tuesday, especially if you were getting the right stimulus of Monday, Tuesday, getting those flows, getting all those sets and reps in appropriately, you were definitely going to feel a little fatigued going into Wednesday, even if you did one of those workouts Monday or Tuesday. So I found it really valuable to have some sort of really low key, at least first part, which there kind of already are on Wednesdays, but nothing really heavy since it's a med ball. We've been doing carries. So I figured some med ball plyo work because that's really good to get your nervous system firing, get the body moving, kind of wake you guys up a little bit. And then trying to allow that potentiation, that wake up that you get from that first part going in the second part. But again, we also learned that scaling intensity, speed, efficiency is key. And I think a lot of people had a really hard time scaling this appropriately because you should be finishing whatever your progression is in this time cap, 13 minutes. A lot of people probably got close. I would say half and half finished. If you didn't finish, it's not a big deal, right? It's just, again, a learning lesson of maybe I should have done 40 and 20, right? 40 wall ball lunge, 20. Maybe lighter on the wall ball because the wall ball lunge, again, kind of a different skill, right? We're learning how to step back and catch the ball simultaneously. Same thing with that burpee box jump over, right? We're trying to, again, learn how to move steady and efficiently. And I also taught the group, like, we're not going to do a step-up burpee. So now you have that a little extra challenge. And I liked how that workout went. I thought it was just enough volume. Again, gave a nice short intense. I know people like the 30, 20-minute grinders. And, like, that's not a component of our fitness. We need to have the ability to go short, quick, and fast. And if you do it right with the right stimulus, you don't need anything else. You're like, wow, I got my fix for the day. So again, we'll continue to see that. So again, take the learning lessons. If you're not finishing, if you're not able to have that speed efficiency concept, which I'm talking a lot about, especially like today, keep practicing that. Thursday was definitely needed. It's definitely a weird one just because it's not a lot of reps. Maybe you get like 2 sets of this, but you don't have to get volume, right, with Thursday. It's really just about, even if you get a few sets on that rower. We did a lot of spine, a lot of midline work here. I thought that went really well. And definitely had some good mobility drills here in the second part. So again, if you're feeling it, show up Thursdays, guys. Generally a low-key workout. But again, got just enough here to stay fresh for Friday. I mean, this was one where we were definitely seeing capacity fall off, right? Maybe you guys were just doing, 2 clamps. I had 3 clamp max, but I think a lot of people ended up going to 2 clamp max or just like that last rope climb towards those final rounds. We were seeing definitely a lot of fatigue and pulling, which is good. Like, this is the workout where fatigue is going to catch up because it's more volume spread out over time. So the way I explained it is like, hey guys, this isn't a back squat strength workout. This isn't a rope climb skill workout. This isn't a jump rope skill workout. This is a balance of all 3. This is what CrossFit is. We want to develop all 3 simultaneously. So, like, do you have the right enough weight to where you can maintain the tempo and depth and standard, but also feel the fatigue on those last few reps, on those last few rounds? Is your jump rope skill, are we maybe practicing throwing some things in there to work on, just enough to, again, allow us to get the progression that we need, but also maybe just getting us the time frame that we need to finish so we have like a minute to a minute and a half of rest, which I think everyone did really well with. Like, I was seeing, like, everyone was getting that right stimulus of, like, finishing the work done quickly, getting about a minute to a minute and a half done rest. And yeah, just everyone was getting the right stimulus, it seemed like, for Friday because, again, you got that little bit decent time frame to work with. Again, sometimes not my favorite to do back squats just because, you got people who will shortchange it. I have to remind you, like, it's not an excuse to not get depth, right? That's you having the right loading, right progression, keeping the tempo. So yeah, it was fun to get that workout in. Definitely felt the legs on that. Definitely did a lot of jumping last week, a lot of quick jumps, like the Monday lateral jumps, the box jump overs, the jump rope reps, all super intentional. Again, I talked about on the podcast last week with Joe. I said the machines can sometimes be a crutch in programmers' eyes. And and again, me being a programming geek and doing this for years and really breaking things down with a lot of intention, um, I try to have weeks where, like, do we rely on a machine? Like Tuesday, it was really set in there intentionally on that minute to teach you guys how to drive with your legs and give the arms a break. But, I could have easily put like run or row, right, versus developing a skill. So that's something I always think about. And that's the reason why at MFP, or, even good CrossFit gyms in general, like, that's why we set a standard versus, your regular functional fitness gym that you're just going to go and you're going to do a bunch of random shit without any purpose, right? That's random. This is varied with intention, like I said in the beginning. So you're definitely getting that and being held to that standard. And that's something I talked about during the Bring a Friend Day, which was this idea of like, yeah, you're getting these 3 domains: weightlifting, gymnastics, monostructural, but it's intentionally developed in a 30-minute interval, especially when you get this work rest and you get this high power output, but you also have the standard of how we're doing the movements. Like I was breaking down the movements for the beginners of like, leg drive, arm straight, getting your hip extension to catch the bar. We did scapular work. We just did the foundational parts of your movement, squatting to full depth. Like if you go to your XYZ boot camp, I'm telling you, it's cringy and I hate it, and that's not me trying to just be an asshole to these people. It's just probably a lot of people don't know any better or been ever held to a standard like that. But like you realize when you see these newbies and they're doing these full reps and they're smoked after doing 5, which is good. We want that. That's not a downplaying thing. Just saying like you're actually moving to a full range of motion, which equals a higher power output, which also equals to a long-term sustainable plan for muscular growth, tendons, ligaments. You're supposed to use it or lose it. We want to develop. We don't want to stiffen up our body from not using range of motion. And obviously that depends on who you are. But we really just made that clear when doing this workout. And also it was just a really fun way to introduce some basic CrossFit fundamentals to a new group. And it made me really think about trying to have some more opportunities for bringing a friend to the gym or having like a beginner's class, maybe like one Saturday out of a month. Maybe like 8 a.m. class just turns into a beginner's class, just for people who are brand new into CrossFit who are really intrigued about like seeing what we do. So was super happy with that and how that flowed. So continuing into this week, just a little preview, right? We're going to continue this concept, right? And I said this today. I said, today is the day where you need to really think about speed and efficiency. Like you're probably even have to scale the reps down to 8 and 8 or go super light. I intentionally put like a super light kettlebell today just because like learning how to have speed of a kettlebell snatch, not just to do it, but actually now have speed and efficiency, especially with the step up, a new skill with the curtsy style step up and how we approach this. Another big thing was like having all your equipment right there. So like the efficiency of transitioning from movement to movement is another skill. So all those things were developed. I thought developing into our skill work for today, getting some extra pushing, some unilateral work, coming back to that tall box jump. Tomorrow we're going to get a lot of lower body, coming back to some squatting, touch and go stuff, kind of similar to last week. Some things I'll talk about with the squat clean is like keeping your feet in the same place instead of like moving them out and in. Just some unique touches to the techniques that we would traditionally teach when it comes to barbell cycling or learning a new skill. Get some sumo deadlifting in there, get some pulling for the lower body. Excited for Wednesday's workout. Like this is one where it's going to be sneaky tough. Like I'm only putting 12 minutes. That means if you do the math, right, that gives me 4 minutes per round. You're probably going to need to scale the rowing in terms of set. Farmer carry, it's a fast, get your ass moving like you got to miss a flight. Like you're going to miss a flight. And again, like burpee pull-up, that's going to be a hard one. Like, do you have the speed efficiency? Maybe you got to scale the reps down or maybe just hang on the bar to, again, get moving and then going right into your next round. Those are things that we're trying to develop. Again, some good unilateral stuff in the first part to prime you up. Going to bring back some landmine stuff on Thursday, so that'll be fun. Have some overhead duck walks, scorpioners, coming back to like some of that primal type movement. I'm a really big fan of. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but when you start doing primal like movement, there's nothing that compares when it comes to like this body awareness and functional mobility, I guess you could call it, at the same time. Definitely going to get a little fatiguing. We're going to do a little bit more upper body pushing and pulling work this week. So if you notice like that theme, like last week had a lot of legs. This week we'll have a lot of upper body. So you're going to notice those little differences when it comes to developing the program, why like having consistency week to week is super important. Some jumping, some sled pulling, which is really good for the knees, but we'll try to go a little heavy. Coming back to that, like again, like varied but not random, right? We have this structure where I've had this before for you guys, right? You get to choose your rest, but the variance comes into here where we're kind of mixing this up with a little bit of intention. So, that's going to be a tough one. And Saturday is really going to be hard. If you guys are looking forward to an ass kicker on Saturday, this will be the one here. So, I've given you guys a lot of extra time. That somehow they had this road qualifier workout of being 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, there's no way. The elites couldn't even finish this workout in 20 minutes. So you guys get 30 because you're special. We're going to scale it down. We're not going to use a barbell for overhead squats, but we're going to have this fun skill here in the first part. Double overhead squats with dumbbells. You guys are going to definitely need slant boards for your ankle mobility, overhead mobility, doing some levers, great gymnastic skill. And, if you're somebody who just wants some weekend warrior type stuff here on Saturday, this is going to get your fix for you. So, I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Got a good week of workouts. Definitely, I would say, programming has been on point. Giving myself a pat on the back. Very intentional. Not as much weird stuff as I like to program, but that's intentional with our phase of where we're at MFP in the fall. So, have a bunch of ideas, a lot of things coming up. So, I'm going to tune this out because it's been 2-hour mark for my little guy. Look at him. He's so freaking cute. I'm going to go get him. He's just starting to wake up. Look at that. Perfect timing, mate. Perfect timing, mate. Time to get the little guy up. Time to get him going, get him fed, get him well. All right? That's like my hybrid between Australian and Irish. They used to call me Marco McDonald back in the day when I used to travel to Ireland. Now you got me. Coach Marco. All right. All right, team. Again, subscribe. I got 4 live viewers here. That means 4 of you, well, I'd say at least 1 out of 4 of you are not subscribed. So get that subscription on. Comment. If you got any questions for next week on the morning show, I'm going to try to keep this morning show consistent, having some fun with that. So, anywho, love you guys. Peace. How do I get that? Peace. Leave you a little outro here.